Hey everyone, Brian from Bearable Traders here. It's the weekend, February 17th. This, of course, is the weekend video where I will take a look back and see what happened last week, short review, and then we'll take a look ahead, see what we got coming up this week on a shortened trading week, as well as some stocks that I am in or are watching to get in. So let's get down to it. So as we always do, let's start out by taking a quick look at what happened last week, February 12th. Both CPI and PPI data, which came out Tuesday and Friday, they came in higher than expected. And that really put a damper on any kind of optimism that was out there regarding early and frequent rate cuts by the Fed. Of course, this led to a lot of volatility this week, a lot of markets up and down. There was also a lot of earnings releases. Some were good, some were not so good. Some had good numbers, but poor guidance. So, a lot of volatility this week. Most of the indexes did end lower. The only index that actually ended up on the week was the small caps, which eked out just over 1% gain there. So not bad for the small caps. Areas of strength and weakness. We have basic materials and energy that were the strongest gainers on the week. Energy starting to pick up a little bit here. Communication services and technology sector, they were actually the biggest gainers on the week last week, and now were the biggest losers this week. So a little bit of a flip in trend there. 2-year Treasury, obviously with the CPI and PPI data coming in hot. Both Treasury yields on the 2-year and 10-year were up, and they were up pretty significantly. That's a significant move for Treasuries. So, of course, the U.S. dollar, because Treasuries yields were up, so was the U.S. dollar. And Bitcoin. Bitcoin was a big one this week. Had a pretty significant gain from 47,200 last weekend to over 52,000 now trading this weekend. So nice move on Bitcoin there as that starts to break out of this bit of the range that we've been trading in here. So that was the week in review. So let's start looking at some charts here, and we'll start out with the treasuries as we always do. You can see how we are starting to tick back up here. We've definitely put in a bit of a rounding bottom on the 2-year. Momentum is starting to build to the upside. All the indicators, RSI, MACD is crossed over here. So, it's definitely a bit concerning. I think we're still going to be stuck in this range here. But as we said earlier, CPI, PPI data came in hotter than expected, and it's just a reflection of maybe rates are going to be high for longer, not necessarily higher for longer, but just high for longer. And you can see here on the 10-year, same sort of comments. We're back up into an area where there is some prior resistance. We'll see if it continues to move up here. It's going to be interesting, but again, all the momentum indicators are indicating that we are starting to move back up to the upside. Whether we get back up to 4.7, that's going to be, I think that's going to be a real detriment to the market. And certainly if we continue to move up through here, it's going to be not good for the market overall. Transports, you can see transports really took a hit on Friday. Again, we had a bit of a sell-off there after that PPI data came in. There was your CPI data on Tuesday. Both days really took their toll on the transports, both those days when the numbers came out on PPI and CPI. Transports on a weekly basis here. Let's take a look. Yeah, it's kind of an engulfing candle, which is a bit of a flag here for the transport. So maybe some concerns about the economy. We're double topping on stochastics as well. So maybe we're in for a bit of a rough ride. A lot of it's going to depend on, we'll see. Everyone's waiting for NVIDIA to report. I think that's, that's going to be the sort of the pinnacle of the earnings season when it reports. So the Dow took the big hit on Tuesday, and then sort of people were bracing for a higher PPI number, so not as big a hit after we came back Thursday. But again, this almost you can see as a double top here. So, we are kind of topping out. It looks like we're kind of running out of steam here on the markets temporarily. I don't see a big sell-off coming, but we're definitely kind of running out of steam here from after this massive move up we've had. You can see here since October, we've just been on a tear. And so, these things don't just keep going up forever. I suspect we're going to be doing a bit of a consolidation here. Again, the Qs, big gap down on that CPI number Tuesday. Again, PPI number didn't help things on Friday, and we ended up down on the day and down on the week on the Qs. That's a change after about 5 or 6 weeks of continual gains. And again, we just don't keep going up forever. You can see here we had this bit of a pullback consolidation, and now we've had this massive run again. So again, we're probably due for a little bit of a pullback consolidation, especially after we have sort of gotten through earnings season. Same sort of comments with the SPY. Don't want to repeat myself. But again, SPY still strong. You know, it's not a great looking candle, but it certainly finished well off the lows of the week. We are really overbought. So again, could use a bit of a breather here after this big run. The IWM, interesting. Really just, this was the area I flagged as resistance last week based on this top. And of course, we got back up there on Thursday. And then Friday pulled back again because of the PPI data. And on a week, we did manage to eke out a bit of a gain here, this 1.2%. But again, sort of topping action here, maybe due for a little bit of a pullback. Although momentum still looking good to the upside here on the IWM, the one that really hasn't participated as much. Despite the sort of volatility, the VIX, which is the fear indicator, still sort of hanging around in this range. You see, we had this big spike up on I guess Wednesday following or Tuesday following the CPI data report, spiked up to 18, pulled back significantly, back down again Wednesday, Thursday, and then Friday, a little bit of a spike, but not much. So again, no real fear in the market. So I'm not looking for a huge pullback, maybe a bit of a breather. And the dollar, bit of a hollow fill candle there, but we still managed to eke out a bit of a gain on the week. We're right up to an area where there is prior resistance here. So, but again, as the yields, it's really a function of how the yields go. And Bitcoin 51,260. So a bit of a pullback from yesterday. I think I had it at 52,700 last night, Friday night. So, but still, what a breakout out of this sort of range of consolidation here. Let's take a look at it on a weekly. Yeah, nice breakout from this sort of range where we were consolidating in between sort of 40,000 and 45,000, and then we had this big move last week, and then continuation move following week here this last week. But getting a little bit overbought here, needs to take a bit of a breather probably, but still, trend is your friend. And I've been trading Ethereum, and we'll talk about that as we get into the next section. So let's take a quick look at some stocks that I'll be watching this week. Apple, we'll start out with Apple. Apple's really been struggling here. Look at it, put in a higher low here, or lower high, I should say, another lower high here. This band seemed to be an area where it tried to get back into, couldn't manage it. Now it's trading down below the 200-day moving average, which is amazing. Apple just really sort of struggling here, and probably going to head lower. I'd be looking for 180 next week, possibly, as it gets down and retests this level. And if it starts to lose 180, wow, it could really drop. Next sort of area here could be in the mid to lower 170s, possibly. But Apple really just really struggling here. Affirm, back on my radar. Friday, Thursday it broke down. Or Tuesday it broke down after CPI data, tried to come back up Wednesday, Thursday, couldn't do it. Then Friday, PPI data really drove it right back down. So I'm watching this on Monday as well, or Tuesday as a potential short. You can see momentum is really starting to take us to the downside here, and it really could move further lower. And as far as AMD, we had this pennant, as I mentioned last week in the video, did break out, sort of tried to break down, then it came back up again, and then broke out to the upside. But again, Thursday, Friday, down days for AMD. So really sort of struggling here at this 180 level. Could be a place you could sell some options if you wanted to do do an options trade here, and then maybe buy the 185s as protection. But it looks like it could head back down. You see where we bounced off this 165 level before, could be coming back down to test this level again on AMD. Boeing, I changed my position slightly. I had bought 240 calls. I had sold these 260s up here because I thought even if it gets up here, it's going to have trouble. So I sold the 260s, bought the 240s, but this week I sold my 260s, so I'm out, or 240s, so I'm out of them. So I still have the 260s that I'm short, and they're in the green. I had to take a bit of a loss on the 240s. I had to sell those for less than I bought them. But I'm expecting this going to hold. It's an August expiry, but I'm not thinking that this is ever going to get up to 260. They lost some orders, or some orders. There's a drop off in orders, and the Boeing's really struggling here after this last incident. I kind of thought they'd kind of shake it off, but I was wrong on my thesis. So basically switching my position and short the 260s, and that's it. This was the one I had mentioned last week that I was going to look at Monday for trading long Ethereum. I thought it had a really good story, since the Ethereum ETFs are going to be probably coming out May, June, and jumped into it on Monday, and thank God I did, because it had a really big push up on Monday, sort of along with Bitcoin. Then it had Tuesday, not much, had a big gap up Wednesday and Thursday, and I actually sold half my position on Thursday because I just thought it really had run too far too fast, and so I got out half of that position, but I'm still holding some. And yeah, this is a Toronto Stock Exchange stock, but I'm sure you could find a way to trade ETF or some kind of trade on Ethereum. Google's another one that's really sort of struggling right along with Apple. Couldn't quite fill this gap here on this drop after earnings. Came back up, tried to fill it. This was this range here that I had identified. Got up one day and then just broke down the next. And then Friday was a really bad day. Broke down from this key level of what I would have thought to be support, and we could be coming down to this under 140, sort of 138 area. Next stop for Alphabet. Intel, again, sort of the semis are, after they had this big run up, and now Intel sort of struggling a bit, but I think it's going to range bound here. This is a big level of support here at 42 on Intel, but it doesn't seem like it wants to go much higher at this point. Meta tried to break out here on Thursday and then had the pullback on Friday. It still looks strong though. This pullback on the CPI data on Tuesday was really just bought right back up again. So lots of a bid under Meta, and certainly probably going to hold this sort of 455 level. Excuse me. This was one I had traded last week. I got into it. The mid caps, I like the mid caps better than the small caps, but I'm out of it now. So again, I think it's kind of up into an area where it's going to see some resistance. So quick trade. And then of course we have to talk about SMCI. This has just been on a monster run. This is what I call, or what's probably been a gamma squeeze. I talk about this in my options trading book. The options are really driving a lot of this, apart from just the frenzied momentum traders. There's a lot of options trading in this, and it's just been monstrous. And you can see here what happened. It just really got so extended. Eventually, this is the way these often resolve. You get a gap up, just can't get up any higher, and then you start to sell off, and then the people that have been in this thing for a long time are jumping in now, see this dropping, and then of course the sellers just sort of pile in at that point and think, okay, the party's over. Sort of like everyone for heading to the exit at once. So we had this massive volume of selling on Friday. So it's going to be interesting to see how this trade next week. Sometimes they'll bounce back a bit. The FOMO traders, the people that missed this run, kind of want to jump into it and see if they can push it back up. We'll see if it actually can get through this, but this level, this $1,000 level, has been sort of set as the top on this one. Tesla's had a pretty decent run actually after it's sort of a bit of an inverted head and shoulders here. Here's your one shoulder, there's your head, there's your other shoulder. No matter what you caught it, they could come back up and break through this 200 level for next week. Had a bit of a down day on Friday, but that's okay because the market basically traded down, but it wasn't seriously down. So again, Tesla catching a bid. This 210 level could be an area where it actually might get to. So watch that level for next week. And that's about it for what I'm watching for next week. So wrapping things up, just taking a look ahead at the coming week here. We do have a shortened trading week, as I mentioned earlier. It's a holiday Monday, President's Day, so we will not be trading on Monday, but there's your support and resistance levels and current levels for the Dow, Q, SPY, and IWM. Economic events this week. We've got some interesting stuff coming up. We've got this U.S. leading economic indicators on Tuesday, the 2 o'clock minutes of the January FOMC meeting. That'll be put out at, like I said, 2 p.m. on Wednesday. And then we got a bit of stuff here. We got a lot of Fed speakers on Thursday, and they kind of start around 10 and they just go throughout the day and into the evening there. So I'm not sure if they'll say anything that really moves the markets. The biggest one, I think, is going to be the minutes of the January meeting, which might cause some gyrations in the market when that comes out. As far as earnings goes this week, we do have some interesting earnings. We've got Walmart and Home Depot kicking things off before the market opens on Tuesday. Palo Alto Networks, that'll be kind of interesting. I think the big one here is going to be NVIDIA, comes out at 4:20 on Wednesday after the close. And then we got some other interesting ones, Lucid, Rivian, Bros, Bean Brothers, Etsy. And we got Moderna, Nikola, another car company. We got Block, Carvana. Yeah, a lot of car companies this week. So it should be an interesting week of earnings as we get through the sort of the latter half of the earnings season, kind of winding down here. So that's about it, everybody. Well, have a great extra long weekend. And we will see you Tuesday morning. We'll be kicking things off live on YouTube, as we always do, at 8 o'clock in the morning. And then, of course, trading the market open 9:30 with our members. So again, enjoy the rest of your long weekend, everyone. And we will see you hopefully on Tuesday. Bye for now.